So today I'm going to do a little demo of our FIZLock motor mounting arm. So this is just a motor mounting kind of dog bone bracket style motor mounting arm that allows you to fine adjust the gear engagement, easily engage and disengage the gears without losing the position of your motor, as well as add some preload to the system to counteract for flex in the system for better gear engagement. So the arm is a 19mm native mount, and it comes with two modules that are attached via a rosette. There's a smaller 15mm module and a 19mm module, and then the kit also comes with a small 19mm, a small 15mm rod, and a little 15 to 19mm adapter. So I'm just going to do a couple quick setups here. The first setup I'm going to do is with this Preston motor. This Preston motor has a 15mm rod, the included 15mm rod that is screwed in here. We also will be making a Preston adapter that goes from 19 to 15 with all the tapped holes for any Preston motor. So start by sliding this 19 to 15 adapter in, and one of the benefits about this FIZLock is that since you can do all the fine adjustment with just the adjustment knob, you can really crank down on the tightness on everything else. So I can kind of go crazy here, making sure this motor is super tight and there's no way there's going to be any movement there. Okay, and now with our 19 side, we also have the benefit of a added thrust bearing, and our 19mm clamp lever is only going to take just a very slight amount of tightness here. So just barely finger tight, and that is very, very solid onto this rod now. And so now that I'm here, you can see that I can disengage the motor and re-engage the motor with just the turn of the knob. So this is super helpful for making lens changes a little easier. It's much easier to pull your lens off, replace your lens. If you don't have to match up the gears perfectly, especially if you have iris and focus, it can start getting kind of hard to line it all up. This way you can just disengage the motor. You don't lose your motor placement. It's super easy to re-engage it exactly how it was, and it makes the lens change a lot easier. Or that kind of disengagement is necessary if you have a twisting lens like an EF lens. But the other benefit of this is that, and this is especially relevant for Preston motors, is that this bracket, just like any bracket, this one is actually more rigid than other brackets we've tested, but any mounting bracket or dog bone tends to have a little bit of flex in it. So if I just barely engage this motor here and pull out, you can see that the whole thing will wiggle away just a little bit. I can't quite get the teeth to fully disengage there, but with a DM2 motor or something, you never know when you might have a little trouble with any mounting bracket, and it's always a problem. So to counteract that flex, you can always just tighten this knob just a hair more, and there's absolutely no flex at all there now. This motor is super well engaged. It's just riding the lens perfectly. There's no way that you'll ever have any disengagement there with the motor. And so because we have a nice rigid bracket, and we've cranked everything else down, and we're all on 19, there's essentially zero chance that you'll ever have a gear disengage now with this setup on a Preston motor. The disengagement is controlled with the spring. You can see here I can just push the motor in and out unless I use the knob. But because of the spring, that means that the gear has to be located above the pivot point on the FIZLock, which can make it difficult to mount the motor upside down and still have the engagement work. It's always, of course, possible to fully engage. Let me swing this away a little bit. If I fully engage the motor this way and tighten this knob all the way in, now this is acting just like a standard dog bone, and I can mount the motor however I want. However, if I want to have this engagement action while the motor is flipped upside down, we have a little offset arm that will be coming out soon, and I can put this offset arm in here, and it flips the gear so that the gear is still further away from the pivot point to where it will engage properly. Oh yeah, and of course it works great with top mounting as well. Alright, so now we're going to do a little mounting with the tiltomotor. So the first thing is I'm attaching this 19mm rod into the top of the FIZLock. You can see I can get it nice and tight. This is the included 19mm rod, and now I can use the clamp on the tilta and just bring that in and crank that down separately. And so now just making sure there's no motion in there. And we'll just slide this on to 15 millimeter all the way back, engage. Again, barely need to be tight on this at all for there to be no motion in here. And now I can use the engage and disengage really easily on the tilt.